Rotary. Okay, everyone's complaining about the speaker. So use this instead? Hello? No. Just yell. Not yell. Oops. Is this the... Yes. Yeah, there you go. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me now? Hello. You have to put your hearing aids in. Is the speaker? The speaker is on. So it's not very good.
Zero.
Sure, that's why it's tall. I don't know what to do. I did not. Oh, stop it. Go. Is this better, everybody? All right. Welcome, everybody. And look at who's zooming in. Let's see, Marcia, Val, hi Val, and Steve Sherry. Good to see you all, and welcome to the meeting. Okay. The theme of this year is the magic of Rotary. Can you hear me, everybody?
No.
They can't. They can't. Oh. What? Well, the 4-week test of things we think, say, or do. Bill, Rowan, you can't, you're eating?
I'm doing the pledge.
You're leading the pledge, okay. Aaron, can you recite this? Sure, yes. There's only one Aaron.
You never know.
You can come up.
The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Now, before you start, before you sit down, give one of those and describe an experience that you used yesterday.
Well, when my 9-year-old daughter told me she did her homework, I had to determine if it was the truth.
Was it back the truth?
It was about 60% of the truth.
Okay. 60%
to be better to protect.
Okay.
I expect the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Okay, there you go. Good idea. Let's all give a round of applause to Sam for being a good leader. Bill Roman. Misspelling. Yes, it is misspelled.
Yes, it is misspelled.
Okay, I didn't check. All right, everybody stand up. Flag is over there. Thought of the day, Jim Grant. Hey, Jim.
Building on the four-way test that we just had, again, the fourth sentence, I guess, in it, the fourth phrase is, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And again, I'm reading from Dr. Byron Taylor's book that was issued about 20 years ago. You can see here that it applies today. It is people working together to get things done in our businesses and our world. Action needs to be taken. People need help. Selfishness is self-defeating. All human beings have rights. All human life is precious. There can be no difference as to race or class or sex. There is no white race, black race, yellow race, or brown race, only the human race. Self-interest is not enough. That's what Byron shared as he went around speaking at different Rotary clubs more than 20 years ago.
States, I think we should remember we're the one human race. Okay? That's, so, Jim, very appropriate. Okay. Round. Song of the day, Ed Gold. And I think everyone will know it. I think we might even have a Navy hat. Yeah, there's a way. I'll look my bag. Bag first, I'll be there. Now, the song, Mark, is Anchors Away. Now, why did I select Anchors Away?
I don't know. Why did you do
I'm going to tell you. Give me a moment. I selected Anchors Away because on Saturday, I'm having dinner with my godson. And the dinner is on the battleship Iowa in San Pedro. And my grandson is fleet commander of the 3rd Fleet. My grandson is a 3-star admiral. And you probably ask, what is the 3rd Fleet? The 3rd Fleet encompasses the entire eastern part of the Pacific, from San Diego all the way up to Alaska, to the Aleutians. That's his responsibility. So what does he have in the 3rd Fleet? He has 200 ships, 1,500 aircraft, and 150,000 men and women who protect our lives. So I'm looking forward to, he's the keynote speaker, by the way, on the battleship, and have a big naval galley. So let me put on my naval hot top. So can your grants, can he speak at our club?
Yes.
Oh, there's one other thing. My godson spoke to the Rotary Club, if you remember, about, I don't know, about 8 years ago. I think he had 3 stripes on the end. He was a commander, and he had just returned from duty in Afghanistan. He had a very good, very interesting talk.
Thanks for running.
In fact, I'm going to put on the hat I wore when I was a naval officer. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Everybody stand up. Anchors away, my boys. Anchors away. Farewell to foreign shores we sail and
they moved the headquarters of the third League. The first commander of the third League was Nimitz.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Nimitz was. We had to have him speak here. Yeah, I was just talking to Saturday night. Oh, good. Get him over here. We're on video. Oh, video. Yeah, I don't remember that, yeah.
Your grandson?
Schwartz for taking expert visiting Rotarians and guest Rotarians. Visiting Rotarians, we have 2 visiting Rotarians. One is our speaker. What? Oh. If I speak up, I'll be screaming next time. Next time, Tom, I'm gonna call Margo and have it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about 2 visiting Rotarians. Kitty, please stand up. Kitty Kavidi, she is our former district governor.
Wow.
Okay, you can thank her or not. And our speaker, by the way, is also a Rotarian. Kim Moran. Now, Kim, what club are you? Come in.
Bellevue election.
Bellevue, Washington. How big was that club?
150.
Okay. But at one point?
200. 205.
205, let me say. Okay. Thank you, Kim. And guests and Rotarians. Sam?
I wanted to, last week I introduced them, but this week I want to give them the chance to introduce themselves.
Okay, so we have women first.
Hi everyone, I'm Eden. I'm from Israel, and I live in the United States almost 2 years already. I'm in Paris, and I write also, and I love cars. Yes.
Okay.
Tell me that.
My name is Jared Dudley. I'm from Missouri. I just passed my military exam, and I'm also a pastor. So that's pretty much all I do.
Well, you know what? That's what it is. I'm sure as you get older, there will be more to your resume.
Yeah.
You guys are young. Announcements. How about that? That's pretty good. Saturday, November 2nd, is the district annual foundation gala, 12 to 4 in SoFi Stadium. Who is going to this wonderful event? Raise your hand. Who isn't? Why?
Be in New York City that night.
Okay, and you, Tom?
I have another engagement.
Nothing's wrong. All right, good job. November 16th, I would like a couple of volunteers. I'm going to be out of town, so I can't. And at UCLA, Rotaracts will host me other students, and they want people to talk about business. So if I could get a couple of volunteers for this event, it is in the morning, a couple hours. See me happy. Okay, I'm not going to hold anybody to it. Thursday, December 12th is a Christmas shopping spree, and if you haven't done this, it's fantastic. And one other event on the 5th, we're having the district governor speak here, Albert Hernandez. We are hosting that night the Giddies Club Rancho Bar, and we're going to have a special night. So I would suggest if you want to bring your spouses, I need to know in advance so we can let them know how many people will be, okay?
Is that going to be here?
Here, yes. Probably in 2 rooms. That in the evening, 5-ish. We're going to be here having dinner instead of the afternoon. So on December 5th, do not show up in the afternoon. You'll be the only people here. come in the evening. We're starting at 5:30, you can be here at 5. We're gonna have alcohol, appetizers. It's gonna be a nice event. Okay? Yes,
Someone said there was parking available at the church.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Yeah, I'll, hopefully by sometime this week. And guess who? Almost ready for the speaker. Now, I want to say something about the speaker. I met Kim in Singapore when we were having dinner at the event. He was sitting right in front of me with Susan. I thought he was such an interesting guy. I even know now he's even more interesting because the book he's going to be talking about, I read this book from cover to cover twice. This book is called Tireless. And I got to tell you, there's an opportunity for each of you to buy this book. It's $20 a person, right? Correct? Goes to the Rotary Foundation. He has, how many, 18? Now, if you didn't bring cash, I'll have Terry bill you, and we'll write you a check, okay? So I'm already reserving 2 that I'm paying for. And so I'm going to do a little introduction. So Kim is an award-winning author and visionary. He founded companies at the age of 26, and he built them and ran them successfully and sold both of them to Fortune 500 companies 20 years ago. Hence, now he can do what he loves to do, which is working for World Vision, right?
And Rotary.
And Rotary. And amazingly enough, he did a project with Git last year.
Now, underway.
And it was, how much was it, $800,000?
Between that and a million.
Okay, so that, and it was a water project,
Oh,
right?
it's the Rotary's first environmental. I'll talk.
Okay, Rotary first, I mean,
Yes.
okay, all right. He's a great guy. I don't know, I think.
I can talk loud about the dog here. Can you hear it?
That could be a problem.
I'll get closer to it. Okay, thank you. I did write a book, and write a book. You don't know if anybody's going to buy it. My publisher said that less than 1% of the people sell more than 500. They were in the many thousands. But when I wrote it, not knowing if anybody would read it, I immediately got a notification on LinkedIn from a woman that she said, I do not read nonfiction, and I do all my books on Audible, and I have a 30-minute commute. So if you can remember those figures. She said, no nonfiction book has ever lasted more than 20 minutes. But my boss said I would like your book. So I bought it. She said, I get to work, I can't turn my car off. I get home, I can't turn my car off. And I went cover to cover, and I loved it. And I said, oh, maybe I'll at least sell 2 books. But thank you very much. Would you please write a review? And she did. They're almost all 5-star reviews on Amazon, and the books have done very well. You can see some of the names. It is endorsed by global corporate leaders. It won first place in nonfiction, and it's the #1 bestseller on Amazon. I'm not going to go through all the endorsements, but the one on your left is from the president of World Vision. Some of you that were here earlier saw some of the slides going by about the work we do between World Vision and Rotary globally. I'm at $50 million worth of Rotary projects that are help the facilitation done with World Vision. I'm a normal Rotarian like everybody in this room. I've been a Rotarian 44 years, and I was a club president in 1990. And I knew some people in our club would go on international trips that are involved with international service. I thought it was somewhat intriguing, but I had zero interest in doing a Rotary project somewhere overseas, particularly Africa. The president of World Vision knew me. I was a major donor to Rotary, a Arch Clump Society member, and I'm in many of the major donor roles with the Rotary Foundation. The president of World Vision called me and he said the chair of the Rotary Foundation is coming down and they'd like to see if there's a way that we could do work together. So you have the world's largest humanitarian organization that's privately funded. They're an NGO, a non-government organization, called World Vision, that does $3 billion a year. They do $400 million alone with our government and facilitate work in some of the most difficult parts of the world. You've got Rotary, the world's largest service organization. So I'm sitting in this meeting with some very important people, and they're trying to find someone who might help them see if this could work. Next thing I know, I'm on a jet to Ethiopia. That was 22 years ago. We're in, I don't know how many projects we've done. We're at $50 million. Over 10 million people have been affected. We currently have 7 projects going on. And is anyone here familiar with the 7 areas of focus in the Rotary Foundation? So water, health, education, economic development, peace, and conflict resolution, maternal and child health. And I met this woman, Rotarian, who happens to be sitting here, Giddy, in Vietnam as we went to do a Rotary project with Cloud Palette. And Giddy was we were with the president of Rotary International on that trip. And she was just incessant that we had to have environmental added to our areas of focus. We only had 6. So they did add environmental. And the very first Rotary environmental project of any size is currently underway in Zimbabwe because of this woman. And all these projects, a Rotarian, a single Rotarian, and I'll get into this as I go through the book, gets the thought, has an idea, sees an opportunity, but then follows through and actually acts on it. Because she had to raise somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000. World Vision has donors then that match that amount. And then they have the professionals on the ground that can do the work. So particularly if we're talking about a water project or any of these projects, that's where it makes it very successful, having professional people that know how to get the work done. The other endorsements here, Jim Flaherty was the chair of Deloitte, the world's largest accounting firm. And Marco Netto was one of the first, he was a senior VP at Amazon, one of the first people that worked with Jeff Bezos that made Amazon what it is today. And he retired. So I'm thrilled to have many endorsements. But throughout the book, there's nuggets, stories that just transcend all generations. People my age, maybe the age of some of you here would say, I wish I read the book 30 years ago. But the book, the target audience is really a 20 to 40-year-old people that are starting in their business. And I do love to sell books at Rotary clubs, and my wife reminded me that make sure you tell everybody that the holidays are coming up, and it does make a great gift. All throughout the book, there's stories about opportunities. There's a chapter called Wonder, Blunder, Thunder, and Plunder. All of us go through these stages in life, at least if you're a Rotarian, you made it to the thunder stage. Some people don't ever make it that far. You wonder what you're going to do in a career as you grow up. You start a career, you blunder a little bit, and if you're good, you get into the prime of your life and you're thundering in your career. The plundering is what I'm in. Bill Gates is also in his plunder years to a different degree than I am. But we've decided to give back. It could be our local community, the world community, anything. And what a perfect opportunity to do that through Rotary. And there is a chapter, 26 in the book, on why you should join Rotary. So the book is just loaded with stories all the way throughout. It's not a story about me. This, I think, is an important comment that I put in that's in the book, and this kind of explains Giddy. When you recognize there's an opportunity, there's much fewer people that actually act on them, that have the courage to see it through and make it happen. And that's what I think you find with Rotarians. All of the $50 million worth of projects that we have done or underway for the 22 years was one Rotarian who got connected with me that said what they wanted to do, and we were able to find a way to make it happen. And they're all the projects were around 800,000 or more. So nothing can stop a person that really desires to achieve. How you handle a crisis, I won't read PowerPoints, but that's a great way to resolve your understand your character and your resolve. And there's a couple chapters in the book about some significant crisis that I went through and the bank called our note. There's something in the chapter about bankers aren't your friends, so I'm sure there's some bankers here. You want to read that chapter. You as a Rotarian member can be that same person that acts on opportunity like Getty did. We did another project in Niger with this same district with a Rotarian in Manhattan Beach who connected with me and wanted to do something large. Niger, one of the most difficult countries in the world to do business, and terrible with security. We had 3 U.S. Rangers killed in our project area during our project there, but he persevered, he raised the money, and we did a big project in Niger. So you have an opportunity as a Rotarian to make a change in the world as well as your community, your workplace, or anything else. So the book has lots of stories, thinking outside the box, things that will help you have a paradigm shift in the way that you think about things. A lot of old sayings that you'll read that will be very familiar to you, but they're put in a different light and put in a different context. I love the chapter on decisions and self-talk. On average, every day you'll make 35,000 decisions. Any one of those decisions can change the rest of your life, can change your trajectory. A bad example would be driving when you've had too much to drink, possibly have an accident or cause a fatality. The significant changes for the rest of your life that ensue from that. Other changes to the good are looking at the opportunities and acting on them, making that decision. Over 350 decisions a day are just what you're going to eat. But in decisions, they're largely driven by your subconscious and the habits that you form. And you want to be making those decisions always with a focus on having good habits and making decisions that are good decisions to the best of your knowledge. The self-talk, I'm speaking to myself. I'm looking at every single person in this room while I'm speaking. You're all talking to yourselves. You do not have the ability to not have a reaction to something I say. But if I went up to Ben and said, Ben, I really like that tie you're wearing. I remember when that used to be in style. You cannot have a reaction. Now, what is he going to think the next time he goes into his wardrobe and sees that tie?
You're wearing.
You're going to be thinking about the person that said the nasty remark. But you cannot not have a reaction or a thought or a self-talk in your mind. What you can do is recognize when it's negative and develop the habit to change it from a negative to a positive, or at least change the venue, change the subject that you're talking about. All of us can get into negative thoughts about people, things, whatever. And you want to make the lemonade out of the lemons, find a way to think positive, and it opens your eyes and you see more opportunity, but it also leads to greater development of good habits to follow up, particularly in business. One of the biggest successes we had in our business, which today the company I started from nothing and sold, has thousands of employees. It's over hundreds of millions of dollars. It's nationwide now, but I started with absolutely nothing in the backyard of a warehouse just on blacktop, and I rented a small job shack, 10 foot by 20 foot job shack, and got it wired up. I think my dad wired the shop up so we had power and we could actually use a calculator. But follow up, how we trained our employees, how I developed in my career, the ability to constantly follow up and never waver on what the next step was supposed to be with that customer or with that person. You develop those habits, and we trained our employees that way, and it all feeds into your subconscious again. Your subconscious is when you walk, you're not thinking about where you take a step unless you're climbing a mountain or something. It's your subconscious that does these things, and you want to develop the habits that lead your self-conscious. So a lot of this explanation is in the book, but it's a very powerful tool. Turn off the negative, learn how to recognize it, and just turn it off and get thinking positive, because you're the only one making those 35,000 decisions. You might be doing things you don't want to do, but you decided to do that because you were asked to. I think somebody here was asked to do something and they said no. By the way, Mark, you walked in and Giddy said, he's really a nice guy, so I don't know if that's true.
It was her drinking.
Yeah, if you make a choice to tell me that. You will only make the choices yourself. So understanding how your subconscious works. So there's a lot of this in the book. It took 3 years to write the book and a lot of research. I had 35 years of files I kept that I went through and I wrote the book, and there's a lot in there. So the more you understand, the more it'll benefit you. Sure, that's coming from.
Stand in front of it. If you stand in front of it, it won't move feedback.
Okay. All right. Also on leadership, if you own a business or in your Rotary Club, if you don't recognize what's changing in the world and what your club needs to change, and we're talking about bringing in younger members and networking and other things you do. If you don't, the club becomes obsolete and it dies. The club I was president of in 1990 doesn't exist. When I was president, we had 105 members. Doesn't exist anymore because of some leadership, bad leadership, and other problems. I'm in a very big club now where I live, which is great. I used to belong to the club that was near where my offices were. And no matter what political view you have, no matter how you feel about anything, there's almost always another way to look at something. So always have an open mind and keep that yourself. This is my last slide. And it's asking why. So I mentioned our company is very large. We had manufacturing plants. Is there anybody here familiar with Dr. Deming that went crested with the Toyota rise, the Japanese rise in industrial power?
Just in time?
JIT, I copyrighted the name, started a company called JIT Inc. So we had a store in Seattle. It was a big Kenworth truck company. They're owned by PACCAR, a big Fortune 500 company. They have factories all over the world, all over the U.S. They would borrow a truck tire from my company, and a week or so later, they would bring one back for credit. Anybody that understands business, I'm not making any profit. They sell it, they give it back, the paperwork kills you. I want to know why. And I went down to our dispatch office. This company ended up going global, JIT Inc. And our dispatcher said, I don't know why, but they do it almost every 2 weeks. He said, I want to meet with the people in that factory. I want to see what they're doing and why. And I went down and they showed me this wonderful system they had implemented into their factories. But when I'm looking at it, it's like, my God, they introduced errors. Deming is how you eliminate errors, optimize the system. JIT is inventory controls and minimizing costs and inventories and building quality. They were doing the exact opposite. They're building 40 trucks a day in the plant. 400 tires a day go in. 400 wheels a day go in. There's over 300 tires, different tires that you can order on a Kenworth truck, and over 280 wheels. Who would think that? You see a truck going down the freeway, 280 different SKUs on the freeway. Well, every so often one would be wrong. They were handling the product 3 or 4 times before it got to the plant. It was just ludicrous, and I had the thought I could see an opportunity that I could start a company that could manage all of this for them, take it out of their control, and we would call it JIT Inc. And 2 years later, we opened the doors. It was millions of dollars to build that plant. We were flawless. We saved PACCAR millions of dollars a year. We made millions of dollars a year. We saved their suppliers millions of dollars a year. I went back to get my MBA at the University of Washington because we were going to go to Australia, Netherlands, Mexico, and take it global when PACCAR decided that they didn't want somebody that big being run by an entrepreneur. If I got divorced or failed financially or something, they had too much of a risk. So we ended up selling that company to Apple. So there's a story about that. I mentioned there's a story about why I joined Rotary. But I hope you will take the book and read it, get some for your children. Ben said he wanted me to reserve 2 for him, so I'm pleased about that. That's it. I'm open for questions on the book, on World Vision, Rotary, whatever.
Quick question. You were talking a little bit about the inventory management.
Yes.
And I like that chapter in particular because you were thinking out of the box. How did you change Tireless? What brought you? Was it this story that you just said, or was it others?
No, I think one of the stories you might be related to, I'll try to talk loud enough so they can hear, but Boeing, as an example, would buy $500,000 a year for tires for their trucks, not the airplane. It had nothing to do with airplanes. They have a large fleet. Boeing's a big, big company. Yeah. And they would buy $500,000 a year. they had a warehouse. And they would always have inventory in hand. They would deliver tires to all their different factories. And so and everybody wanted their business. I had a small contract, a very small contract, a specialty contract for the airport, a big fire truck. We sold tires for up to $280,000 a piece. We really worked heavy in the mining industry and specialty, but mostly in trucking. And if you look at what they're doing, I looked at everything and we trained our employees to look at things. If this was your company, is there a better way to operate? So I sat down with Boeing. I got to know them pretty well. I said, you guys, you're spending $140,000 a year to lease a facility, warehouse. I know a warehouse with all the tires you need. You have 3 employees or more, and with Boeing weighted cost of employees and whatnot, that was over $300,000 a year. You have trucks and delivery. If you're spending $500,000 a year to buy $500,000 a year, it's crazy. Get rid of the warehouse. We'll deliver to all your factories. Maybe my fees for doing some of the extra work is going to be $100,000 a year, but you'll save $400,000 a year. It's like, duh. It's in front of everybody, but people don't think about that. All the competition just wanted to buy my tires, better tires, better tires. Our focus was how to help a company operate more efficiently. And so when we did sell, we had 61% market share with big national competitors like Goodyear and Firestone and Bridgestone and West Schwab and other organizations. And in commercial, nobody dominated the market the way we did. That's why we were so attractive and ended up being bought by a Fortune 500 company. Yes, sir. Sorry.
If you stay about 50 years old, considering changing careers, your book helps someone like you're talking about 20 to 40.
I think there's a story about Colonel Sanders in there. I think he started when he was 65. Yeah, and he tried over 200 times, failed. There's a story about that, not giving up. Yeah, that's a great question. I had not been asked that question. Thank you.
There's 18 copies of this book.
No,
I bought 16. It's 16.
That's fine.
Hold on, I can't hear Tom.
Okay, Tom, I apologize.
The last slide you had asked me why. I've been through corporate life. I've been on a number of leadership positions in charities and organizations like that. 15 years in Rotary. Why, at 84 years old, should I buy your book?
Take you over to one of your grandchildren. You have a good grandchild. You'd enjoy the stories anyway, and then you'd send me a note and say, I wish I'd read it when I was 40.
$20.
All right. Thank you. Mark.
2 questions. JIT company, is that the just-in-time concept of manufacturing?
Yes.
Okay, coming out of Japan.
It was originated with Deming, and when I went to PACCAR, you might enjoy this, they laughed. A company called JIT, they thought it was quite funny. I copyrighted the name. I still have a company called JIT LLC. It was not in the college textbooks now. It's like Kleenex. If you go to business school, everything is JIT. I did this in 1982, I think, is when we started JIT.
Okay. The second question, manufacturing had a series of new, particularly in aerospace, a series of standards back in the early 2000s that they all had to be certified to meet, which incorporated JIT into their supply chain and so forth. Is that still in existence?
I don't know. I don't know what they do in aerospace anymore. I've been away from it too long. 22 years I've been doing this work with World Vision Rotary, and I'm not paid. I think you said I work for World Vision. I'm not a paid person. I do this as a Rotarian. So all the projects are Rotary and World Vision. I have to work with local Rotary clubs in each country to implement the project with local World Vision staff, and I do the training and training around the world. I went to Giddy's project in Zimbabwe to get the teams together, the World Vision Rotary teams, to make sure they understood how to work together. Yes, sir. Sam, right?
Yes.
So besides from reading the book, because I'm sure by reading it, there's going to be all the information that might come after my question, but what advice would you give a 20, 30-year-old, like a concrete step they can make, a young professional to step into entrepreneurship and bring that idea to fruition?
Well, a lot of that's in the book,
Yeah.
but there's also 95% of people who start a business fail. And the odds of doing a great job and seeing opportunities within the organization you're in has a far greater percentage of success. So I don't, in the book, I make it clear I'm not promoting people quit their jobs and start their own companies. And I damn near failed more than once. It was just, I mean, you have hundreds of employees in the bank. I went in for just a normal day to meet with our bank. I mean, we were always meeting with the bank. We were always exceeding our covenants. We were always, having to have our credit line raised. And I walked in, and our banker was standing there, and he said, "You're going to have a different meeting today." And he escorts me to a conference room with 5 or 6 people I've never seen, and shuts the door behind me. He's not there. I never had my bank call a note before. And I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't even brush my teeth the next day. But within 2 days, we had a new bank, a higher credit line. We found out why they called the note. It really was nothing with our company. We had a great balance sheet. We were growing 50% a year. A similar company to ours, but it's a different type of business that just got bankrupt. They were making that. They decided to get out of tires in that case. But how we went through it and survived and whatnot. Can you imagine having to tell your employees or your people you have a job anymore? So, if you read it, I don't get into it. My advice, it depends on the company, the venue, your strong points, your education, a lot of things.
So for our club, for people like Sam, are you available to consult with them?
I do talk to people. I mean, I consult with companies for a fee, but I do get calls, and a lot of people have a son in college that will get a hold of me, and we'll talk through things, and I keep in touch with LinkedIn, and I don't do Instagram, but I do WhatsApp, but Facebook and LinkedIn, but I do calls.
Maybe Warren should listen to you many years ago.
Well, there's another book I'm reading right now called Go Woke, Go Broke. If you could just put that on the
Is there anybody else that has any questions?
You're really more of an efficiency expert.
Yeah.
I think than anything else.
I love logistics.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's in the book, I'm sure you've seen it, interesting art for women entrepreneurs and the small percentage of become leaders in those industries. Is that covered well?
On women
Yeah.
in business. I was surprised that I get more feedback from women who read the book and like the book than I do from men. Like the first story I told you, the market wasn't male or female or other. It was strictly just to people on looking at motivation and thinking and habits and follow through and thinking outside the box, visualizing opportunities in front of everybody. Giddy is just a perfect example. She really had a desire to do something, and most people wouldn't take it that far. Then when you say, well, you have to raise $400,000 in Rotary, I mean, a $5,000, $10,000 project is a big project, and she has to raise $400,000. Most of my projects with Rotary have been with women, actually. All the big ones started with women.
I mean, in the philanthropy, we're conditioned to expect women to do that, but really, I think Minnesota District is a good one about, the highest earning women CEO. They have all these, principles that are in there, but very rarely are hired or promoted.
Just for a quick story.
Yeah, but also we're going to have Hitty talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
just real quick, there's a chapter in the book that my wife particularly did not want me to put in. It is now our office manager came into my office in tears and told me that I was a complete bastard, and then proceeded to explain why. And what really hurt was she was right on everything she said. I think you would enjoy that chapter. I just was stunned. Everything she said was so correct. We just acquired another company. I was focused on all these other things. I won't get into the details. And I made a smart ass remark to her, which apparently wasn't the first time, because it was something I needed and it wasn't available. She was home with the children, and she gave me a real talking to. And I remember I said to her, I said, Susan, I can't tell you how much I apologize. You're on fire. She was in tears, crying. You know, she knows she's lost her job. She was a phenomenal player, and I didn't see it. I was looking at other things. And she and I are now best friends. And when we sold the company, they didn't need her. And I had helped her get other jobs, every job she's ever had. They're very thankful she's there. But, and that was quite a lesson. It's one of the best business lessons I think I ever had on focusing on the strengths of people. I was more focused on sales and other areas than managing our office. Their payables ran my clockwork, receivables, healthcare, HR, everything. She was an amazing person, and I didn't see it. She had to tell me, so, and I didn't fire her. Anyway, I love this down there, so.
John,
Yes.
Where's your company located?
We were all over Alaska and Washington. Now it's nationwide. But when I started, we started in Alaska to Seattle on the same day. That's another old story. But I went to one of our big customers in Alaska, said I wouldn't be coming back, and I started my own company. I worked for a large company out of college in the tire business. I got the call when I worked my way through college working at a gas station. I got a call from this guy from this big local tire company. And I wanted to know if I was interested in talking about a job. And I said, you have got to be shitting me. Who the hell would work for a tire company? I was interviewing with big companies, and he said, oh, they have commercial salespeople, they have company cars. I don't remember what he said after that. Company car? I was 21 or something, and I took the job. I just excelled at it. The dad turned that company over to the son. He was kind of an idiot. You could tell they were going to go bankrupt. It was a big company. So that's how I ended up starting. I already had a territory, a reputation. I had already worked in the industry. But I started from nothing, absolutely nothing, and built it up. But I love the industry. I mean, it's a great, great business. And,
Where are you located now?
I live in Bellevue, Washington. And all I do now is work with World Vision and Rotary around the world.
What did I hear about fly fishing?
Oh, what?
Fly fishing.
Oh, and on a pilot, I don't fly fish. I fly.
Right.
The low plane pilot.
By the way, there's a pilot right back there.
Yeah. What do you got? I have a
Turbo arrow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have Moody's, $500 Moody's, but I had a 185 on floats in Ketchikan. All of our 80 customers were on remote islands. And
That's great.
then I had I bought a brand new Cessna when they started making them again in 1998.
Are you still flying?
I fly at Bermuda doings. And I have to get another recurrency next month, but I'm still.
You should join the Flying Rotarians. They were founded in Seattle.
I did. I joined up once or twice. I think I might have joined them again, but I don't keep them on. Yeah.
Bill?
Yes, sir.
I heard a couple weeks ago that some of the backwards and some of the big giant tractor tires
Yeah.
were running like 2 year, 9. Is that still the case now?
I don't know because I've been out of the business, but yes, I mean, the biggest tires in the world, they don't think they'll get any bigger because they can't ship them. They're 12 feet tall, 5 feet wide, they weigh 20,000 pounds, and we were selling them for about $280,000 a piece when we sold the company. And we had equipment to put them on, which were huge pieces of equipment, trucks and whatnot. Yes, sir.
I've been talking to myself all this time.
Yeah.
About if there's a significance to the title of your book, Tireless.
A little bit. I have a yacht that was called Tireless also, and I like the name.
You keep talking about tiredness.
Yeah. You have to, when I sign your book, it's going to say always stay tireless.
Do you think Boeing's going to escape the mess they're in today?
That's just, they're laying off like 18,000 people now, and it's a leadership issue, and of course there's a lot of issues. Yeah, I got to talk.
No, stay right here. Stay right here. Idiot, come up. This is unusual. I wanted to find out why almost in the tells you the figure. How did you raise more?
No,
Say, come over here. Okay.
Before I do that, the lady there asked about women in business. I was Kristen. Nice to meet you. I was always in a highly male-dominated field in my entire career. And I attribute my success to not looking at gender, looking at professionals. And I rose above the gender issue that way. Because I was generally in a room with 20 other men negotiating in multi-hundred-million-dollar deals. And I was the only female in the room. And it really got to the point that I think we're all people, we're all professionals, and I never allowed being a female getting in the way of my success. So that's how I manage my business. Now about raising $450,000 for this project. I first went to our DRFCC, Elsa. She was very supportive, and I was able to get a very nice chunk of DDF to do that. And then I started to talk to other districts, so I went to 6 other districts. Because the beauty of getting DDF in the world of Rotary is that now you get an 80% increment by matching the World Fund. So every dollar that you get becomes $1.80 that way. So basically it's a doubling effect. So I went to 6 other districts. When I talked to them about the project, it being the largest environmental project at Rotary ever, everybody wanted to contribute to the environmental project. So I was able to raise a big chunk of money that way. Then I reached out to Rotarian friends, him being one of them. He was very generous and he made a personal contribution. I put a very big chunk of the funding myself because I believed in this project so much, and I believe in the need to do an environmental project, because if we don't move fast to change what's going on with the environment is going to be, it's too late. And it's even too late now, but we still have a small chance. There are so many non-believers out there, but climate change is here. We're witnessing it with all these tornadoes going on. This is all because of climate change. So, and I believe it's incumbent upon each of us to do what we can to do something about the environment. So that's why I was, one of my top goals when I was becoming a district governor was trying to find what I want to focus in on. Mental health was number 1, environment was number 2. So this is my way of giving back. And then you can also go to clubs. We had several clubs in our district that were willing to make a contribution to the project. It was not an easy feat to do. It was very difficult, and as Kim said, raising a few $1,000s is hard, but raising about close to $450,000 is very difficult. But endurance, tirelessness, not giving up, these are the key. If there is a will, there is a way, and I'm a firm believer in that. And you can always get help from other people. People such as Kim can give you ideas. Doesn't mean necessarily give you money, but they can give you ideas. So the goal is to broaden your net. And if you make more friends, if you attend Rotary functions, if you attend Rotary districts, and you learn who's doing what, these are the ways that you can raise money. So I'm trying to make it very brief.
Yeah, I just want to make just one comment. When you say environmental project, I had people come back and say, nobody's going to donate money to just plant trees. And the project is in areas of the world where the whole land has been denuded. They've taken away all vegetation, the ground has gone bad. And so it's a big project called agricultural regeneration. So they go into large areas. It's easy but not easy. You can go in and change it all and make it so it'll thrive again, but unless you've really changed or trained those communities, that's where your NGO, your rural business staff come in on how to maintain it and make it thrive and stay that way. That's what makes a successful project. So this combination of World Vision and Rotary is extremely successful. we blundered a little bit up front, but we really do a great job. And hers is the first one we've done a big scale environment.
And every dollar we raise at Rotary is matched dollar for dollar by World Vision. So we raised close to $450,000, and we got the matching amount from World Vision. So all of a sudden, you have the double.
Wow, thank you, stay right here.
He was asking for a pen to sign books. He doesn't realize the speaker gave us a pen.
There you go.
There you go. And we're going to set up the book signing over there. It's $20 if you do not have cash. We'll tell Terry to bill your account. But everybody, there's 18 books available. 16. Okay. So everybody one at a time, and we will close the meeting for signing.
Peter, say hello to everybody.
Hello to everybody.